Hello, garden friends, and welcome to my Central Texas garden oasis. Now, it is mid October, which means it's fall, and fall is the best time of year for putting many plants into the ground here in Central Texas. So, I thought that was a great opportunity for me to share this technique with you that will allow you to literally get more plants than what you paid for. It's not a secret technique or anything like that, but not everybody knows about it. Did you know that when you go to a nursery and you pick up a potted plant like this one, it will often already come with multiple plants that are ready to be transplanted into the garden and live their own separate lives. In fact, they are begging you to transplant them out separately because they want to have more room to grow, more room to spread their roots and thrive. And you will literally get more plants than what you paid for. So, win-win for everybody. This technique is called division or dividing, and I'm going to show you how to do that on different types of plants. First, we are going to look at how to divide plants that have thin taproots or fibrous roots, which most people would consider quote unquote irregular looking roots. They tend to be the easiest to divide, as was the case with this container variety passion fruit. I actually didn't realize I was looking at a potential twofer until I sat down to repot it. Now, before you start tearing the root balls apart, you need to be certain that what you are looking at are really two separate or nearly separate plants and not actually a single plant that has two stems. I'm going to get the plant out of the pot and very gently pull apart at the root ball, trying different angles and feeling whether there is a lot of resistance as I pull. Tip: do not use gloves for this. My personal special technique here is to gently twist as I pull apart, as that really does a great job at minimizing breakage. I'm not going to claim I invented this technique, but I have not seen anybody else do that yet, so let me know in the comments if that is something you already knew about. As you can see, these came apart super easily and are ready to be potted in their own containers. The second category of plants are those growing from rhizomes, such as this gorgeous variegated ginger plant. The label says annual, but I'm pretty sure it can be perennial if you overwinter it properly. Now, many plants growing from rhizomes actually have to be divided every now and then to keep them growing happily. Otherwise, they crowd themselves out, not only when grown in pots, but also in the ground. This guy here has to be moved to a larger pot ASAP. It's very top heavy and the roots are badly trying to escape the pot, so Mr. Ginger here cannot wait another day. First, I'm cleaning it up a little bit just so I know what I'm working with. Then I'm going to have to take it out of the pot, which is going to be a little bit tricky because we have all of these roots stuck at the bottom. So I'm going to try to untangle them to minimize breakage. As you'll see in a second, we did have a casualty, but I'm actually not too worried about this plant because it does have a lot of new fresh growth on its roots. So it seems like it's a very robust little guy and should transplant well. With dividing, as with transplanting, you should always take precautions to avoid transplant shock. It's best to water the plant really well ahead of time and handle the roots as gently as possible. To divide, try to find a natural breaking point where the plant looks like it already wants to separate. You may need to remove some soil, as I'm doing right here. Generally speaking, I try to avoid removing soil stuck around the root ball because that's another factor that may contribute to transplant shock. But with division, sometimes it's necessary. You should always try to use your hands and just kind of force of nature first, but that just was not in the cards here. So we need to do some surgery. I decided how to divide this kind of arbitrarily. There's definitely a few different ways that this whole clump can be divided, but that's what I decided. I'm going to cut right here while being as efficient as possible in my cuts and of course making sure that the knife is disinfected. After you cut through that rhizome that's on top, the bottom roots should break off quite cleanly because they are already separate entities. As a result of this surgery, we have an open, exposed, fleshy wound, which we don't want to attract pathogens to, so we're going to use cinnamon. Cinnamon has antifungal properties and may also help stimulate root growth. It could very well be fine to put the plant in the ground without cinnamon, but why risk it when you probably have it in your kitchen anyway? After shaking off the excess powder, you can put it directly into its new home. The next example of the Rhizomatous family is this bearded iris. As you can see, it looks like there are two plants in this single pot. After removing it, I can see some dead, rotten looking bulb on top, and it does appear that the roots coming out of it are all dead and rotten, so I'm going to get rid of it to ensure that it doesn't cause rot in the other healthy plants. After cleaning it all up, I got these two plants which did not want to come apart on their own, so I'm going to cut them right there in the middle. But you can already see that they have completely separate root systems, which is nice. After cutting, I will apply cinnamon and put them into their new homes. Sometimes you will get a plant that is an entirely different species than the plant that you actually bought. Many moons ago, as documented on this old TikTok, please forgive the low quality, I bought a Najuga plant and did not realize that it actually had a pecan tree growing out of it. I was able to separate the two plants and rehome the pecan to its own container, and it is still happily growing right now. I'm not sure what I'll do with it since pecan trees grow up to be huge, and a mature tree will certainly shade out my entire garden, but that's a problem for future me. My point is, don't automatically assume that the extra plant growing out of your nursery pot is a weed. Take the time to ID the plant, and who knows, you may end up with an unexpected gem. Just to be clear, there are more ways to propagate a single plant. Obviously, there is seeds, propagating from cuttings, layering, and so on. But I wanted to cover division here because it's one of the easiest ways to get more plants out of a single pot, and it's just going to be really useful. And I have seen that not everybody knows about it. As you may have noticed, this channel is quite new, so I have a tiny favor to ask. If you liked it or if it was helpful in any way, please like the video, comment below, subscribe, of course, share the video with anybody else that you think might benefit from it. As you know, engagement really helps with the YouTube algorithm, right? The more you engage, like, subscribe, comment, and share, the more my videos may show up to others who are searching for these topics specific to Central Texas. I really want to save others the mistakes that I made starting out. As you know, our climate is super unique and specific, and what works for other parts of Texas does not work for Central Texas. Well, this is embarrassing. My camera cut off right there. But the only thing left to say was thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.